been the perfect claim to fame. Why didn't Muhammad boast about it? Many of these aspects were only discovered by scholars of the Quran centuries later, and more are still being discovered to this very day. Abundance of falsification tests for the sake of argument were Muhammad the author of the Quran, with his sole mission and purpose in life being to accumulate as much power as possible throughout Arabia, then why does the Quran contain as abundance of falsification tests, such that were any one of them to be achieved or proven true by his enemies and skeptics, then it would have completely destroyed Islam as a religion. Here are just a few examples. Do they not consider the Quran with care? Had it been from other than God, they would surely have found therein many contradictions. Say, even if all mankind and jinn spirits came together to produce something like this Quran, they could not produce anything like it, however much they helped each other. Only God, having knowledge of the future and insight into the capabilities and limitations of human beings, can make such bold statements that stand the test of time. Knowledge of the unseen from the past. As we saw in the previous chapter, advances in our understanding of ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs have shown that the Quranic use of the Egyptian term pharaoh is historically accurate. This is in spite of the fact that all knowledge of the ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs was unknown at the time of the Quranic revelation. Muhammad couldn't have been the author of the Quran because its author consistently demonstrates knowledge of the unseen, a divine, not a human trait. He is the one who knows what is hidden. He does not disclose it except to a messenger of his choosing. He sends watchers to go in front and behind. Predictions about the future. As we saw earlier, the Quran contains clear prophecies about the future that have either already come true or are transpiring before our eyes today. Purely from a probability point of view, is it possible to accurately guess future events spanning multiple nations and different time periods, and many of which were outside of the sphere of influence of Muslims? Without making a single mistake, this is strong evidence that the author of the Quran has knowledge of the unseen. Let's take the preservation of the Quran as an example. History has not always dealt kindly with scriptures. In fact, prior to the Quran, every other revealed scripture has either been lost or tampered with. It is in this backdrop that the author of the Quran makes a bold prediction about its preservation. We have sent down the Quran ourselves, and we ourselves will guard it. If Prophet Muhammad were the author of the Quran, then he could not have guaranteed that it would be perfectly preserved to this very day, especially in light of the many social and political changes that the Muslim world has undergone in more than 1,400 years since the Quran was first revealed. The track record of all other revealed scriptures throughout history proves that the opposite is the case. When faced with similar social and political changes that the Quran has endured their loss and tampering in such circumstances with the norm, The Quran is the unique exception to this rule. The Quran does not conform to human desires. There is a controversial incident that took place during the lifetime of Muhammad in order to sow discord in the Muslim community. Some people started slandering Muhammad's beloved wife by accusing her of sexual immorality. For one whole month this continued. Even some Muslims started to doubt her innocence. During this time Muhammad and his family suffered great anxiety, and perhaps worst of all, the enemies of Islam reveled in the situation, using it to their advantage to create tension in the Muslim community. This was because of the tribal nature of their society. If the honor of his wife was being questioned, then by Muhammad's association with her, his honor was also being undermined. If Muhammad were the author of the Quran, couldn't he have invented some new verses straight off away in order to declare the innocence of his wife and put an end to the rumors? But he didn't. He had to wait patiently for a whole month for the revelation to come down to him. There is wisdom behind God making the Muslims wait for the revelation. It exposed the hypocrites who, until then, were pretending to be believers and living amongst the Muslims. These are the verses that announced his wife's innocence. When you heard the lie, why did believing man and woman not think well of their own people and declare, this is obviously a lie, and why did the accusers not bring 4 witnesses to it? If they cannot produce such witnesses, they are the liars in God's eyes. This shows that what was revealed of the Quran was not based on his own desires, but rather it was revelation from God. The Quran clearly warns Muhammad against tampering with the Quran. If the Prophet had attributed some fabrication to us, he would certainly have seized his right hand and cut off his lifeblood, and none of you could have defended him. The Quran cannot be imitated. Perhaps the greatest miracle of the Quran is that it cannot be imitated. The author of the Quran tells us that it is impossible for anyone to produce just one chapter like it, even if we were to all help one another in the effort. Say, even if all mankind and jinn spirits came together to produce something like this Quran, they could not produce anything like it, however much they helped each other. The Arabs at the time considered themselves, and are still considered by historians and linguists to this day, to be masters of the Arabic language. The failure of those at the peak of their trade, mastery of the Arabic language to rival the Quran, which challenged them, should make one think about its origins. We can break down who could have possibly authored the Quran into groups of people to better analyze its origins. Let's explore each of these opinions. Prophet Muhammad, another Arab, or a non-Arab. Prophet Muhammad, in addition to the earlier points in the chapter that we covered, would show he could not have been the author. To this we can add that he